Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Denise Bryson on today's show.
Hello, see, I got tongue tied already. Anyway, I am ready. I'm ready. So welcome everyone to our radio show. This is where we encourage everyone to drop everything and read. I mean, stop being distracted, stop doing social media, and drop everything and read. Because, they told us when we were going to school that reading was fundamental. And not only that, readers are leaders. And so we want you to read. And so we have the wonderful pleasure today to be interviewing Claudia Silva. She is the author of a 4-book series. And the name of the series is called The North American Vampire Secret Agency. And her first book is called The Recruit. The second one is called Werewolf Phenomenon. And then the third one is called The Fall of Witchcraft. And the fourth book in the series is A Magical Bond. Welcome to our show, Claudia. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me. I guess I'm just a reader who really likes to write. I went to college to be a chemical engineer, and then I switched careers and became a teacher. So I teach kindergarten. But what I've always done is writing. And eventually I published my stories and I sent them to an editor, and I started self-publishing. So that's what happened.
That is wonderful. And I'm telling you, I said, wow, I was so excited to be looking through when doing my research, because I found so much out about you, and I was just so excited to be to really talk to you today. So it's really good. I was inspired by all that I saw.
Thank you.
Believe me, I was so inspired. So I was excited about this today. So tell us a little bit about the North American Vampire Secret Agency. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I've always loved vampires in general, and I've started reading Anne Rice and the movie that came out, and it was when I read those books, Intro with the Vampire, that I said, oh, I could write my own vampire books. I started with fan fiction, and then I created my own universe. And so this is a series about vampires as the good guys who are secret agents, and they hunt werewolves or they hunt rogue vampires, and they protect mankind. So it's like different from some other stories.
Right. They're not the ones coming to get you. They're the ones coming to help you.
Yes, that's right.
That makes a big difference.
I know, right?
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the book that you just published in that series. You want to start with that one?
Sure. It's book 4, and it's called A Magical Bond. And it's the story about, it all starts with the recruit. We have our protagonist, and she becomes a vampire, and then she becomes a werewolf hunter. And then in the 4th book, she now has an adopted daughter, and she gets kidnapped by a witch. And so they create a bond with a human, and that's how they help bring her back. And so that's the 4th book.
That's good. So tell us a bit now, what inspired you to write? I know you said you like vampires, so that's kind of was your inspiration of being able to write the books, but then you switched it around and made them not some spooky person, but somebody that is really coming to help. Some like so they're superheroes in
Yes.
the stories. They're the superheroes in the story. So that's always amazing. And so that makes it different, because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to read this. But no, these are good books. These are good books because they give a different outcome, because they are helping and they are the superheroes in the book. So that's what's exciting. So how did you come up with the title? What's the significance of the title?
The Vampire Secret Agency. I read Anne Rice, and in those books, they are not really bad guys, like they're the anti-heroes. But then I also read a lot of comic books. When I was younger, I read all those Marvel comics, and they're all superheroes, and they have these powers, and they're all misunderstood. And so to me, vampires are kind of the same way. They have their powers and they're misunderstood. But like with great power comes great responsibility and all that. And so that's how I wanted to create the story.
Yeah, that's good. So then what, so now, okay, so I'm asking this question. Did you pick this genre to write in, or did the stories that begin to come to you pick it? You know what I'm saying? Did they guide you to this type of fictional writing, or is that something you always wanted to do?
Well, actually, I didn't know that the genre urban fantasy existed. I just knew I liked vampires, and the stories were set, in the urban world. And
Mhm.
as I started looking to publish, I looked at the genres and I found that it was a thing. And I really didn't read urban fantasy before, and I've been reading some now just to get the idea of what's out there. And that's why I know that my books are not mainstream urban fantasy, but yet the genre found me, I guess.
And so when you were writing, was the characters telling the story to you and then you wrote it, or how did you develop?
Right. Well, I had a dream one day about a vampire secret agent fighting against the werewolves in like a convention setting. And so I liked that idea so much that I wanted to develop the world where that could become a reality. And so then I created all the characters and what was the main goal and who could be the main antagonist. And then it all started back in 1999. And I've been growing the world until I got to publish it now that I have all these books.
That is amazing. And so tell us a little bit about Rebecca and William.
Well, Rebecca is the protagonist, and
Uh-huh.
she's human in the beginning. That she's actually the recruit, the title of the first book. And then Dylan is the vampire who goes and finds her, and he wants her to come to the agency. He wants to recruit her. And then on the second book, when we meet the werewolves, William is one of the good werewolves, and he wants to kind of defect from the werewolf pack. And so that's when they meet and they get a chance to like bond together. And so Dylan is like the love interest, while William is like the brother she never had, kind of like that. It's not really a love triangle at all.
But it's good to have that type of fantasy in there as well, because because a lot of times when we've seen movies of werewolves, I mean of vampires, there's kind of a love story in there in some kind of way, and so that's always good to see. So who do you think is the antagonist in the story? I know we talk about the protagonist, but who do you think the antagonist is in the story?
Well, in the werewolves are the antagonist, and in the first book we just meet Rebecca, and it's kind of like Harry Potter gets to Hogwarts. So Rebecca goes to the agency and she learns about her powers and she trains to become a werewolf hunter. And then eventually we realize that there is this alpha werewolf that's like controlling all of the werewolf packs in the United States, and he wants to overthrow the agency. He wants to destroy what the vampires have built because they are like supported by the government. And so this werewolf wants them out. And so he is the main antagonist. And with him, he has a witch working for him, a very powerful witch. And so between the two of them, they wreak havoc amongst the vampires.
Uh-huh. Oh wow. So these are all, I mean, they're such great stories, and so it would just be so much fun just to sit down and read them. And then I can always imagine these coming into some movie or something like that. Wouldn't it be just wonderful to see back to back to back and see them becoming that, and become more than the book. They'll become movies like so many of them do. It would just be, this would be a great 4-part series, and they're the superheroes.
Right. That would be great, wouldn't it?
It would be so great. We need some more superheroes, that's for sure. And so what would you want from those particular books, just those first two? What would you want your readers to gain from that? Knowing that, I think we kind of said it, but I just want to point it out even more.
Right. Well, it's just that there's these characters who are so different and they really don't belong, but they have this sense of family because they're all protecting each other and they're fighting against whoever wants to destroy their society, their loved ones. And so it's all about belonging and being human. And I guess the great power, great responsibility bit.
That is amazing. So we're getting ready to take a break. And so we're going to hear from some of our wonderful sponsors, and then we'll be right back.
Marianne Fairmouth is a career consultant with 30 years experience in the national recruiting world, a multi-award-winning author in multi-genres, and a speaker that gives presentations to help you succeed. Her book, Revolutionary Recruiting, made the top 20 global list of recruiting books. Find her on Amazon, your favorite bookstore, or at fairmouth.com. Lone Star Festival, where Texas authors, artists, and creatives come together for a Texas-sized event. Join us on May 29, 2021 from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Seguin Coliseum, Seguin, Texas. Free for everyone. Produced by Texas Authors Institute of History. Sponsored by B4R.store, Authors Marketing Guild, and the City of Seguin. More information at lonestar.bookfestival.network.
Factor 7, the newest thriller by author J.D. May, will keep you turning the pages with mystery, betrayal, lies, and infidelity. Ripped from the headlines, Factor 7 follows two prominent doctors who uncover a clandestine plot to spread a bioweapon with a 98% mortality rate. Journey with them as they experience a world of murder, power, intrigue, and corruption, where it becomes deadly clear that exposing the truth is just as dangerous as the weapon they seek to expose.
To embrace your children's imagination, check out Diane Floyd Bame's books for kids. There's The Moonling Adventures, all about the animals in the Serengeti. And then there's Harry the Camel, learning to love yourself just the way you are. Then The Little Girl in the Moon. There's one about friendship, another one about the big ideas, which is an inspirational story. And then Tour Tycho Town, right there in Tycho Crater on the moon. All of Diane Floyd Bame's books are available at B4R Store.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Denise Bryson on today's show.
Hello, welcome back to our radio show, where we have been interviewing Claudia Silva, and she is the author of a four-book series. It is called The North American Vampire Secret Agency. And we've been talking about the first two books, The Recruit, and we also talked about the werewolf phenomena. And so now we're going to get into, and we talked a little bit about the fourth book, A Magical Bond, but we're going to talk just a little bit about the next three books. And one is The Fall of the Witchcraft, and then of course, A Magical Bond. So let's talk a little bit about those two books, because Rebecca's still on board, Dylan is still on board, and so we still see them in the stories, and so they're still strong in those stories. And so we just want to just tell us just a little bit about it, because we want people to just get enough so they can go buy the book.
Well, the first book we meet Rebecca and Dylan, and then on the second book we meet Will and also the werewolves as the bad guys. And then on the third one, all this time the witches are working with the vampires and they're helping them. They erase memories from the humans who see the vampires in action, or they can teleport. And then on the third book, The Fall of Witchcraft, is how the 12 covens of this world fall. So it's going to be all about how the witches disappear and the vampires don't get their help anymore. And so it will bring the last protagonist, Crystal, who is a young witch, and she is the survivor, and she's going to eventually be fighting against the bad witch.
Oh, wow. And so then when we get to the book, A Magical Bond, then what is that bond? Is the bond the all of them coming together? Is that what that is? Is that what it's about? Is that what that's really about? Because
because at the end of the third book, the vampires have Crystal, the last good witch, and they're protecting her. And then on the other side, the bad witch wants Crystal to fight with them. And so she's trying to find her. And on the fourth book, she finds her, kidnaps her, and as she is taking her, Crystal, like, I don't know, releases a cry for help, and she creates a bond with a human, with her human teacher from her school. And so they have to use this human woman to be able to find Crystal, because there's moments when they exchange memories, and so the teacher can see what Crystal is seeing, and then the other way around. So when Crystal's in the teacher's body, then she says, look, I'm here and this is happening and come get me.
Oh my goodness. So that is so they actually were able to trade memories, and even so that's amazing. To really be able to, to come up with those stories and to hear, them talk, those characters be developed. And so how did you go about developing the characters? What was some of the things that if you were to talk to someone about writing and building off of one book to the next book to the next book, what would be some advice you would give?
Well, I guess in the beginning, back when I started writing, I didn't have that much of an experience on the writing process. And I just thought about what I wanted and I would write, and the characters would write themselves. And so I wrote, if I thought about a different story, then I would just continue the books, right? But then when I wanted to publish them, I had to sit down and I had to think and research, okay, how do they all come together and how can I go from the beginning to the end? So I became a plotter. So I began looking at the stories and how it begins and the climax and how I wanted it to end, and then how to go to the next book. And so the characters became, they already had a history in my mind, and so now my job was to portray their characteristics to the reader. Whatever I knew, now I needed to convey it on the page.
And who is your target reader for your series? Who is the target reader?
That's a good question. Definitely adults, but I am still trying to find my readers. I guess it will be somebody who likes all the supernatural, but is not expecting the same thing that always happens. So like looking for something different. So I'm still trying to find who it is that I'm looking for. So in my head, I just look at, women like me who like to read all these kinds of stuff. But I've had a lot of men liking my books and how different they are. So I'm still working on it.
Yeah, but I could even see, and I know you don't write for for young children in this particular series.
No.
But I can see younger people, not children, but maybe younger or teenagers, 20-ish, in those areas, really liking these, really taking to these stories and really being excited about it, because they like, they love stuff like this, and so I hope so. Yeah, I think they would. I really do think that. So now let's switch a minute and talk about Claudia Alonso. Let's talk about those books that she writes to children. I was so excited to see all that, because I do both too. I'm writing children's books. My second one is about to come out. And so then of course I write for adult poetry, stuff like that, but not, not adult in that kind of way, but still for adults, but not.
That's awesome.
Kind of more of a Christian base. But anyway, so tell us about your because you wrote the books initially in Spanish, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then you translated them yourself. I think that's what I read, that you translated them yourself into English.
Yes, that's right.
So tell us a little bit about the moose and the cow.
Moose and cow. Well, I'm a bilingual teacher. I'm a kindergarten teacher, and whoever is a bilingual teacher knows that it's very hard to find original books written in Spanish. Most of the good books are translated from English into Spanish. So I thought, I like to draw, and like art. I like to do some art and play with Photoshop and play with the iPad. And so I was thinking that maybe I could write a book. And so when I did my master's degree in bilingual education, one of our assignments was to write a book. And I wrote a parody of The Very Hungry Caterpillar in Spanish. And so I started with that one, and that became my reader magnet. And then I wanted to create my own stories in a similar fashion as the Elephant and Piggy books that are so popular with the kids, but my own original characters. And I wanted my stories to be about, you know, accepting someone who's different, because the kids in my classes are always coming from different countries, and they are bombarded with all these different cultural phenomena of Halloween and Easter and all of those things, and that they don't really know about. And so I wanted to write something that they could read on their own whenever they learn how to read, and also that it had like a positive message of, you know, you're different, but it's fine because we're all the same on the inside, and all we need is to find how we are the same.
And that's what I was, when I was looking through researching that, I thought, what a great message to send, because so many times kids are in, you know, among other, and they, you know, they have these things where, you know, they feel like they're, you know, they're not accepted and all these kind of things. But this tells them that you can be different and you can still be accepted. You can still be somebody's friend. And so I just thought that was so amazing to do that. So you have that's a 3-book series as well.
Well, I have the 2, and then from the 2 books, I created a decodable book, which is because the books are graphic novel style, that they have their bubbles and you can read what they say. But then I use all those illustrations, and I created very easy to read books that use decodable sight words. And so that's the 3rd book. I also have a book of poems in Spanish that I use in my class as well, and I did all my illustrations. Yeah, I really like that one. And but yes, my plan is to grow Moose and Cow into a series that goes, I don't know, giving different messages for the kids.
That is good. I think that would be amazing. Well, we're going to take our second break, and we're going to hear some more from our wonderful sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Publishing marketing package for authors. $1,500 value, save 40% now. Includes a 6-piece marketing kit of 250 bookmarks, 250 business cards, 250 postcards, 1 table banner, 1 table runner, and 50 download cards, plus book cover design, ebook creation, PDF setups, upload to Ingram Spark, scroll placement, video commercial, and interview on IBS. Plus much more. Email bourgeoismedia@look.com for details, or bourgeoismedia.com.
Hi, I'm Mel Greenberg, author of Running with Our Eyes Closed, book 1 in the Empty Nested series. To the world, Samantha has the perfect life. 3 wonderful children, a loving husband, so she thought, and a life split between Dallas and Italy. When her youngest leaves for college, it all comes crashing down, forcing Samantha to re-examine everything. Over 7 days in one of the most romantic countries in the world, Samantha faces the past she thought she'd overcome and begins to redefine her role as a woman, a wife, and a mother.
What would you do if you had to put your life on hold to care for a loved one? Well, during COVID, almost all of us have been doing just that. I'm Charlotte Canyon, award-winning author, actress, and speaker. And my book, You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, shows you how you can revive, thrive, and survive with 4 golden rules. You have to love one another. You have to respect one another. You have to have patience with one another. And most of all, you've got to forgive one another. I'm Charlotte Canyon, and I approve this message.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Denise Bryson on today's show.
Hello and welcome back to our radio show. I'm telling you, we've been having a good time because we've been interviewing Claudia Silva, and she is the author of a 4-book series. And the series is called the North American Vampire Secret Agency. And then I also got to talk to her a little bit about her alter ego, I'll say, and Claudia Alonso, and she writes a phenomenal children's book. So Claudia, tell us what's next. What's coming up next for you?
Well, I am finishing book 5 to send to the editor for the North American Vampire Secret Agency series. And I have drafted book 6, but I sent it to my alpha reader and I have all this revision to do. So working on book 5 for now. And for Moose and Cow, I need to start plotting book 3. I'm stopping right now because I have the deadline of turning in book 5 in April to the editor.
Yes, you got a lot. That's a lot going. And people wouldn't. People don't believe how long it takes once you've written the book. How long it takes to get to the end of to get it out. That takes a long time. I'm telling you, it can be frustrating too. So do you have any events coming up? Do you have any? I know we're in COVID, but we can still be having events on Zoom. So do you have anything coming up like that?
Well, I was planning on going to my first book festival, but I learned this morning that it may have been rescheduled or canceled. But that would be my first time ever taking my books and meet the readers. I was really excited about it.
Well, hopefully we'll get back to that soon. Hopefully we'll be able to really get back out and get about. And I'm really hoping that comes up soon. That people get their vaccines and stuff like that, and they'll be able to do that. And so what else? Okay, so what how can people buy your books?
Well, they are all on Amazon. The Vampire Secret Agency is a Kindle Unlimited series. As for Moose and Cow, they are everywhere. They are Kobo, Apple Books, Google Play, but the vampire books are all on Amazon. So there's also my website. I have a website, claudia-silva.com, and then I have my other website, claudia-alonso.com, and you can find my books there as well.
Mm-hmm. And then tell us where we can reach you where we can find you on social media.
Well, I have a Facebook page, I have a Twitter, and an Instagram. So you can find me there by Claudia Alonso author or Claudia Silva author.
Okay. Well, that is good. Well, Claudia, we have had a good time. I'm telling you, we've had a good time talking to you about all your masterpieces. I think it's amazing. I think it's so amazing just to be able to, write in different genres and stuff like that. So and so you draw as well?
Yes.
That's just some great talent, because I'm telling you, that makes a difference, especially when you're doing illustrations, because if you can draw your own illustrations, that saves a lot of money.
I know, right?
Yeah, it saves a lot of money. So that's amazing that you do all of that on your own, and you can get that done. So that's just amazing. But I'm just so excited. I got the opportunity to do some research on you and get to find out all the amazing things you're doing and all the good writing that you're doing. And I'm telling you, I want everybody, because it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. But I want everybody to go out and buy her books. And if you have little bitty children, then go buy Moose and Cow, especially those that are having struggles in school with their friends, or somebody telling them, oh, you're not good, you're not this. Go buy that book. Go buy those books so you can encourage your children with that. And then the vampire series, they're superheroes, so don't be spooky. Go buy the superhero book so you can see all the wonderful things that they're doing and how they're helping to stomp out something. They're helping to do those types of things. So make sure you do that. And so just remember, everybody, go and help our authors out by purchasing their books and reading their books, and then going back out there and writing 5-star reviews. That's what we want you to do. So anyway, it's been my pleasure. Good night, and thank y'all for listening to us today. I have been your host, and we have been interviewing Claudia Silva, and you can go out there and find her, look up her website, and she's on Amazon and all those places, and buy her books. But I've been the author, Denise Bryson. Thank you, and we'll see you back next time.
Thank you for watching or listening to the Indie Beacon Show, produced by Beyond Bourgeois for the Authors Marketing International LLC. Copyright 2021. Voiceover by Beyond Bourgeois. If you would like to be a sponsor of the show, please email us at authorsmarketing@outlook.com. If you would like to be on the show, please complete the form found on our website at indiebeacon.com. You may also watch previous year's shows on the website. Music is Frolic of Words, created for Indie Beacon